Only in the game just to get my fatty. And these lazy ain't got competition. It's me versus me, love Key Talk game.
Key Talk Society, check it out. Before the video gets started, I need y'all to like the video. You know what I'm talking about? You know I'm gonna come with the content every day, all day. You know what I'm talking about? Then like the video for me. Take 2 seconds. Anyway. So we got a couple of topics to talk about today. Now, the first topic, of course, you know what I'm talking about, I did a video on how Iran told the U.S. you better not attack us on our soil, or there will be some critical, very, very, very critical reactions to that. Obviously, we know America wanted to go, you know what I'm talking about, step on Iran because 3 American soldiers had actually been killed allegedly by Iran, you know what I'm talking about, inside of Jordan. So with that being said, it looks like Biden has finally picked up a stick after a whole lot of people was telling them that he was being too weak on them. You know what I'm talking about? They kill some of our people, so we got to go hit them directly on their soil or just hit them, do some type of strikes. Well, it looks like the U.S. has finally approved some strikes on Iran. Either it'll be in Syria or some of their assets in Syria or something else. So I don't know if it'll be directly on Iran soil. However, at least America's about to go attack something. You know what I'm talking about? We're going to read about that. And then I already did a report on the whole Jackson, Mississippi, how 215 dead bodies was found in the back of the jail, how they just pretty much storing and not telling the people that they family members have passed away. The reports that actually show how they passed away, they're not answering. I'm talking about nobody, no question, nothing like that at all. So the bodies have been found. Well, now it looks like Alabama prisons is returning the bodies of people that actually died in their prisons without the heads, without the brains, without hearts, without their organs. So they're pretty much taking it all away and then returning the bodies. I know it's wild. We'll read about that as well. Anyways, first, let's get into the United States and the whole Iran ordeal. So it says U.S. approved strikes to Iranian targets in Syria and Iraq, officials say. So we about to hit them boys. You know what I'm talking about? Now, the crazy part about this all is whenever we about to go do some attacks and some strikes on people, how in the blue hell are they sending out reports ahead of time? So now that these people know that we gonna go attack them, you know what I'm talking about? I would imagine that we would just go attack them, and once we attack them, and then we just make the reports then. But we got a whole news article on the report. It's not like they can't just get on the internet and go look at what we saying, you know what I'm talking about, when we gonna hit them and stuff like that, and be able to prepare pretty much, right? But the report says the U.S. has approved plans for a series, so multiple strikes. We're going to hit them multiple times. You know what I'm talking about? They did injure 41 of our people and killed 3 of our soldiers. So we're going to hit them multiple times on Iranian targets in Syria and Iraq. Officials have told BBC's U.S. partner CBS News. So, and also, I don't think that's directly on Iranian's territory. I think that's kind of just like they said they would do to us. They would hit us on some of our assets, not directly on our American soil, but just places where we may have a base set or some people at, right? It says the strikes will take place over a number of days, officials said, and weather conditions will likely dictate when they are launched. So we don't want to do no strikes in no bad weather. I would imagine we don't want to go try to light them up in no bad weather, because what if we slip up and into some civilians that ain't really got nothing to do with it? I'm talking about. So they probably trying to go the best route of what they doing. Then it says it comes after a drone attack killed 3 U.S. soldiers in Jordan close to the Syrian border on Sunday. The U.S. blamed an Iranian-backed militia group for that attack. That group, the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, is believed to contain multiple militias that have been armed, funded, and trained by Iran's Revolutionary Guard forces. It has said it was responsible for Sunday's strike. Iran, meanwhile, has denied any role in the attack, which injured 41 other U.S. troops at the military base known as Towers 22. U.S. officials have said that the U.S. intelligence believes that the drone used to attack the facility was manufactured by Iran, so pretty much built by Iran, and is similar to the drones Iran has been sending to Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. And everybody know we've been sent, so Iran's been sending help for Russia, and of course the U.S. done sent a bazillion, trillion, gazillion dollars to Ukraine, right? It says at a news conference on Thursday, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin defended the delayed military response. So, yeah, our military officer, pretty much, or secretary, the secretary said, hey, man, listen, we know y'all been saying to go attack these people because everybody's been like, Biden, why ain't you attacking these people already? They done already killed our people. We looking weak out here in these streets. You know what I'm talking about? We got to be the big bad America that, you know what I'm talking about, that's portrayed in the media and everywhere else. You know what I'm talking about? But the defense secretary pretty much came out and said, we will respond where we choose, when we choose, and how we choose. I think everyone recognizes the challenge associated with making sure that we hold the right people accountable, he said, adding that there is no set formula for doing this. There are ways to manage this so it does spiral out of control, and that's been our focus throughout, Mr. Austin continues. So think about this, right? Think about this is just like what the rappers be doing. You know, I'm talking about the rappers in the streets itself. This is happening on a mass global scale, right? Whenever one of the rappers in the streets, you know, I'm talking, whenever they be rapping, they say that they spent on my homie, so I went and double back and spent on them. This is exactly what's happening. You know what I'm talking about? They, you know, sometimes they do it on the same day, you know what I'm talking about? But sometimes they take the time to actually plan when they gonna go ahead and go spend back, and then that's what they gonna do, right? So America now, they know when they gonna spend back, you know what I'm talking about? And they pretty much said, don't ever question us or ask us why we ain't did no spending on our ops at all. You know what I'm talking about? Give us our time and we gonna plan it right so we make sure that we hit our actual targets. Now a lot of times the rappers ain't caring about what targets they hit. You know what I'm talking about? They just sending hits and hopping out and hitting whoever's in the way. You know what I'm talking about? Babies, kids, mamas, daughters, everybody. But at the same time, it's the same thing with this kind of stuff because kids die, babies die, mamas die, everybody dies when these type of stuff is actually happening. So it's literally the same thing except on a much more global scale. You know what I'm talking about? It says the officials who spoke with CBS News did not give an exact timeline on a potential strike. Well, of course you don't want to give an exact timeline. You know what I'm talking about? Why would you give an exact timeline on when you're going to go and attack somebody? That would be pointless. Like, what? They said the military could launch them in bad weather, but preferred to have better visibility to reduce the risk of inadvertently hitting civilians. Okay, that makes sense. President Joe Biden has been under mounting pressure from Republican lawmakers, including some of Washington's most hawkish voices of Iran, to strike targets on Iranian soil. But while the U.S. has repeatedly pledged to respond to the drone attack, Mr. Biden and other defense officials have said Washington is not seeking a wider war with Iran or an escalation of tensions in the region. So we ain't finna go hit them directly on their soil. Like I was saying a little earlier, we're not hitting them directly on their soil. We're gonna go hit some people that's associated with them, some people that they cool with, some people that they close to. You know what I'm talking about? Like Syria and of course Iraq, because they're like partners and stuff like that. They work together, right? So we're gonna go hit them. But it says, but while the U.S. has repeatedly, that's not what I'm looking for, Mr. Biden told. That's not what I'm looking for, Mr. Biden told reporters at the White House earlier this week. The reportedly approved plans appear to keep the targeting to Iranian targets, Syria and Iraq, rather than inside Iran. So it ain't going to be a much bigger war. You know what I'm talking about? Iran already came out and said, if y'all hit our soil, we're going to come step on y'all somehow. So, you know, I expect us to hit some targets, but I don't expect it to be a whole lot to come out of this. You know what I'm talking about? We're going to spin a block, and I don't think they're going to try to spin a block again after that. It says several Iran-backed groups have increased attacks on U.S. and Israeli-linked entities since the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war, October 7th. The Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen, for example, have attacked ships in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, prompted strikes from the U.S. and its allies. A U.S. defense official told CBS that a drone was shot down overnight in the Gulf of Aden, while an unnamed sea drone was struck and destroyed at the Red Sea. So yeah, that's just a whole lot of other stuff that's happening. At least the American soldiers weren't actually getting killed on these other strikes. You know what I'm talking about? Because they hitting drones and stuff like that. But anyway, let's get on to the next topic. Now, the next topic, of course, I'm talking about the Alabama prison. Something is going on around there. You know what I'm talking about? They taking the organs out the bodies and sending the bodies back to the parents and to the members, whoever have ownership of the prisoners once they actually die, sending them back back without their organs. So this is about a guy named Kelvin Moore. It says after Kelvin Moore died in an Alabama prison, his body was returned without organs. His family wants answers. So it says on July 20th, this happened a little while ago too. On July 20, 2023, a little bit last year, it says Agolia Moore was already in bed when a chaplain at the Limestone Correctional Facility in Harvest called to inform her that her youngest son, Kelvin Moore, had died from fentanyl overdose. He was 43. How they getting that stuff inside of the prisons? God dang. It says Agolia Moore was devastated by the news. She had spoken with her son that evening and couldn't believe he died just 90 minutes after they got him off the phone. Then the chaplain asked her a question that made her even more suspicious about her son's death. He said, "Who's over him?" Agolia Moore, 82, said, "When I met with her in a mobile, I said, I'm his mother. I said, he has no wife, no kids. I'm over him." 6 days later, Moore's body was delivered to his hometown, which is about 350 miles from the prison, because he died while in custody. Moore's body was first sent to the University of Alabama, Birmingham, which conducts autopsies for the Alabama Department of Corrections. So he went and got that autopsy. Now, we finna figure out, we got to figure out when in the blue hell did they take Buddy's organs? Was it at the autopsy place? Did the jail and them do it somehow? How did it go? Talking about anyway. So it says, but when Moore remains arrived in Mobile, the family mortician discovered that someone had taken out most of his internal organs. Alabama has had the deadliest prison in the nation for years. Moore was one of 337 inmates to die behind the walls of the state notorious unsafe and draconian correctional facilities from October 2022 to October 2023. According to the Department of Corrections, Moore had been incarcerated since 1999 on 2 counts of attempted murder, among other felonies, and 41 other inmates died at Limestone in the Department of Corrections of 2023 fiscal year. So, like I told y'all before, the 13th Amendment, I keep bringing that up every time we're talking about anything with prison and any type of stuff that's going on that just seems super bad. Why? Because the 13th Amendment says you guys are free from involuntary servitude and slavery unless, unless you commit a crime and you go to jail and then you're back into slavery. So everybody that's actually incarcerated by law and the Constitution, they're literally a slave. That's why they're able to work for a couple cents a day. I'm talking about 50 cents and all stuff like that. $2, $3 a day. I'm talking about working 12-hour shifts. They're able to do that because you're legally considered a slave. So nobody really cares about, especially America. The last people on the list of people that America cares about and would go in and try to help, whether, no matter what it is, it would be the prisoners. They would send money overseas and to help other people before they try to double back and actually help the prisoners, right? It says Alabama prisons are so overcrowded and understaffed that the U.S. Department of Justice is suing the state and its Department of Corrections in federal court, alleging the living conditions to be cruel and unusual, which the federal government says is a violation of the 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution. A trial is scheduled for November. We definitely gonna have to see how that goes. Talking about, because I can't wait to see how that goes. Thanks to inmate cell phone videos, which they're not supposed to have in there, but they do have them in the jails and they're showing people how they living. Talking about? I done seen a whole lot of videos in there. Talking about? I seen Honeycomb Brazy in Alabama prison, and he was having a whole little workout session, a lot of YouTube videos. Talking about? And luckily that they're able to get the phones in there to show the outside world what's really going down. I'm talking about brown water, the toilets don't be work, all type of crazy wild stuff, right? Kind of like got them like living like animals inside the zoo. It says, thanks to inmate cell phone videos, the public has been getting a peek inside the walls of Alabama, squalid prisons for several years. In August 2023, an inmate convicted of murder took over a section of the Donaldson Correctional Facility in Jefferson County, armed with a semi-automatic. What in the blue hell is going on? They said that one of the prisoners took over one of the units and he was armed with a semi-automatic pistol. Okay, let me just use my head, and I'm gonna say that he took it from an officer, right? Not that somehow they got slick inside there. Let me just say that. Let's see though. It says he streamed it all on Facebook Live. Just imagine you getting on Facebook, right, and you just strolling, and all of a sudden you see somebody inside a prison that done took over the prison, and they have an automatic pistol weapon inside their hand. All right, let's see where he got it from. He was trying to draw attention to the barbaric conditions in which he and his fellow inmates lived. Oh, okay, so he wasn't doing this out of an ill intention. He had to do this so he can go viral online, so he can show the conditions. I bet it didn't fix the conditions though. I bet the conditions are still the same. I can bet $1 million on that. But the newest revelation of potential organ harvesting seems to have captured the public attention more than almost anything else out of the system, short of execution of 58-year-old Kenneth Smith on January 25th. In this case, Alabama became the first jurisdiction in the nation to execute a prisoner with nitrogen gas. Oh yeah, that dude, I did a story on that too. They got him with that nitrogen gas like a few days ago, actually. Birmingham civil rights attorney Lauren Forino is investigating the case of Moore's missing organs. The controversy has ensured the university's medical school, a cherished Alabama institution, which reportedly has been doing autopsies for the state's prison system since 2006. It's a systematic abuse situation, Farino said. UAB has been taking the organs of incarcerated people without families' consent for years now, and we have a handful of families that have come forward who discovered that their loved ones who were returned without their organs. But so many of these cases went completely unnoticed because families don't typically think they need to do a second autopsy. Many of them can't afford it, even if they wanted to. So, I mean, it's kind of like a lose-lose situation. You know what I'm talking about? The ones that's locked up, their families be broke, and they be so broke that they can't get a second autopsy because the first autopsy was done. And talking about whenever the autopsy report come back and they say, oh, your person died from this, you don't think, okay, well, let me go get another autopsy. But by the time they get that second autopsy, if they actually do, the organs be gone because they done took them out. You know what I'm talking about? They really taking people's organs. This is wild. Anyways. During the reporting of this story, Anscape interviewed two of the university's former medical students who say they've discovered that hospital school personnel were retaining some inmates' organs without family consent in 2018. They said they tried to get the university to change its practices, but were shut down. That is wild, bro. So people that are actually working for the medical, medical students, they've actually come forward and said, yeah, they're taking the organs. These people are taking the organs, but nobody, they were shut down, and they just continue to take the organs. It says there's a shortage of organs in the United States for transplant science and medical education. Some universities buy body parts after an organ specimen from so-called body brokers. So that's what they turn the inmate. They turn the inmates into body brokers. You know what I'm talking about? They be the inmates be in the inmate jail, and they just be looking at them, waiting for them to go ahead and die so they can take out their organs, right? It says companies that acquire bodies from families, they dissect them and sell parts of the bodies to medical schools and others. Even the top medical schools are sort of the behest of body brokers and technically legal set of entities that find ways to get bodies and body parts, said Brendan Parent, a lawyer and director of transplant ethics and policy research at the NYU Grossman School of Medicine. But they still get consent. Even the brokers still have to go to the family and say, hey, would you be willing to donate your loved one's body to the advancement of science and education? The former university students interviewed by Anscape, who asked not to be named, of course you don't want to be named, but they're going to come and take your organs for fear it could hurt their careers, said their complaints about the university using cadaver organs without consent. That cadaver word, I will look that up because I know that's a very important word. Without consent led to an ethics committee hearing on the issue in September 2018. The former students said school administrators told them they had permission to harvest prison organs because they had a sign off from wardens in the facilities where the inmates died. So the wardens in the jail are the ones that's signing off for the organs of the inmates to be used, not the significant others, not the parents, not the people that's actually over the bodies. The wardens are actually the ones that signing off on it, which is wild. Parents, however, said he's not aware of any law that allows prison wardens, to give consent to donate an inmate's organs. The idea that the warden of a prison is authorizing the recovery of bodies and organs without that individual's authorization during their life and without the family's authorization is a total moral failing and probably a legal failing too. Yeah, I'm not even a lawyer and I can understand and see that that's completely wrong, you know what I'm talking about? But it's happening though, you know what I'm talking about? It's making a whole lot of money too, you feel me? So in December 2023, similar allegations came forward about the Department of Corrections and the Alabama Department of Forensic Science. In that instance, Farino filed a lawsuit for another family whose loved one died in custody after his body had been returned without his heart. So they done took Buddy's heart, you know what I'm talking about? They left them other organs, but took his heart. The Department of Forensic Science had conducted that autopsy, not the university, Farino said. Further, Farino said black families are more susceptible to being victimized in this way because 56% of Alabama 21,000 inmate population is black, even though black people account for only about 27% of the state's population. God damn. So 27% of the state of Alabama is black, but 56% of the inmates inside of the Alabama's prison is of the 21,000 inmate population is black, right? It says, moreover, many of the state's 12-men prison facilities are more than 100% over capacity. Meanwhile, hundreds of autopsies on inmates have been done at the university since 2006. In July 2021, a bill signed by Alabama Governor Kay Ivey went into effect designed to prevent forensic personnel from retaining organs after autopsies without permission from next of kin. This is just wild, bro. They're actually having to make bills and laws just to stop people, to stop forensic scientists and other people from taking the organs without asking anybody. Why in the blue hell would you have to make a law for that? Like, that should just be something that you just don't do anyways. But that doesn't seem to have stopped the state or the university from doing so. It was a very, very clear a medical examiner may not take an organ without the family's consent, Farino said. In response to the question from Anscape, the university released a statement that said it had followed applicable laws regarding handling organs during the autopsy process. We only conduct autopsies with the consent of authorization, the statement said, Cap. The autopsy practice is accredited by the College of American Pathologists and staffed by credentials physicians who are certified by the American Board of Pathology. In an autopsy, organ and tissues are removed to best determine the cause of death. Autopsy consent includes consent for the final disposition of the organs and tissues. UAB is among the providers that consent with the Alabama law conduct autopsies of persons at the direction of the state of Alabama. So somebody said that sounds like a whole bunch of just talk, you know, talking about like, hey, that sounds like a bunch of big words just to make it sound like what they're saying is true and what they're saying is real. Then it says, when he was born on December 29th, 1979, Moore was Angolia and Johnny Moore 10th child. His mom was a homemaker and his dad was a supervisor at a paper company. Moore's 6 brothers and their 3 sisters doted on their little brother, who was nearly a decade younger than his closest sibling. He was the apple of our eye, said Simone Moore, one of his brothers. He wasn't just the youngest, he was our baby. The Moores were heavily involved in their Christian faith and music ministry. Moore followed suit, playing the drums in the church as a teen. He attended Miguel Tucan Catholic High School in Mobile. He eventually dropped out, getting a GED diploma at a community college instead. By 1999, Moore was running with the bad people in Pricker and Mobile and using illegal substances, just probably hanging with the wrong crowd. is how Simone Moore described how his brother wound up getting in trouble with the law. It happens like a magnet sometimes. And so you have to make the best choice, but whatever choice you make, they're your choices. In 1999, Moore was convicted of 2 counts of attempted murder and 1 count each of burglary, assault, and kidnapping. While specific details about his case weren't available, court records confirmed Moore received a 99-year prison sentence. His mother said that the drugs use was the root of his issue. His mother said that the drugs use was the root of his issue, and that the Mobile County judge who sentenced him gave explicit instructions for the prison system to treat his addiction, but that never happened, she said. They sent him straight to the hard prison. Angolia, Moore said. Over the next 23 years, Moore was cycled through 5 of Alabama's most notorious maximum security lockups, places that have been called death trap, hellholes, and third world by inmates and human rights groups such as the Equal Justice Initiative and the Alabama Appleseed Center for Law and Justice. Listen, bro, of course they're not finna be actually trying to treat whatever your issue is inside of the prisons. They don't care about you like that. You're legally considered a slave. You are there to work for cheap, you know what I'm talking about, for bigger companies and make money, and then also to finally pass away so that then they can finally take your organs, right? I'm not even going to read the rest of this. This was just, like I say, what's going on as far as, the whole situation with the U.S. finally approving to go, I'm talking about get some get back on Iran. And then, of course, the Alabama prison system, they're talking about that they're taking organs. So I wanted to read y'all one of those stories. Anyways, let me know something. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about this entire ordeal. I'm out.